Hi YouTube, I've got another PC build for you guys. I built my 3700X rig back in July, but now it's time to build a rig for my brother. So we're both here at his apartment and we're going to be putting this thing together. He decided to do a Micro-ATX build instead of full ATX, because there's really no reason for larger size. I'm not doing SLI or anything. I think the total price was about, what, $1,000 or so, maybe $1,100?
Yeah, not including RAM and solid state.
For the actual tower itself. So we're going to make this video in a couple different pieces. This will be the parts overview. I'll put a timestamp in the description for you to jump straight to the time-lapse build if that's what you're mostly interested in. So I'll go over the parts real quick. We went with the Ryzen 3600X. For Black Friday it was $5 or $10 more expensive than the 3600, so we figured it was going to be a pretty solid deal. It is a little bit more powerful than the 3600, not by an enormous margin, but it was like $5 or $10 more, so you really can't go wrong there. I did donate the Wraith Prism cooler from my 3700X. I decided it was a little bit noisy for the 3700X. Hopefully it'll be just fine for the 3600X. But there's no way it's going to be a worse cooler than what comes with the 3600X. So if we need to upgrade to a better cooler, then we're going to have to do it either way. And it does have the nice ARGB around the fan right there, so it does look pretty cool. And then for our GPU, we've got the GeForce RTX 2060 Super SC. This is kind of the most affordable range of the 2060 Super. It doesn't have, the RG Strix series RGB to it or anything, but it'll be a very nice card. B450M Steel Legend motherboard. I had an ASRock for my 3700X build. I got the X570, but the B450 is like more than enough for this build. We're not doing SLI. We don't need a whole bunch of slots or anything like that. So I think this motherboard should be pretty solid. We got 16 gigs of DDR4 3200. It's 2 x 8. The K's latency on this guy is 16, which ain't too bad. XNB 2.0 ready. And this is one of my favorite SSDs right here. This is the XPG SX8200 Pro. It's a 1TB NVMe. This guy will read like over 3.2 or 3.5 gigabytes a second. Blazing fast. He bought it for his old rig that we built in 2015, but we discovered that it is not NVMe bootable, so it's kind of just been sitting around for this build. So now it finally gets to shine. Got a couple of old hard drives. This one is from his old build, 1TB. This is a newer 3TB. It has not been unpackaged yet. Not much to see there, just kind of for storage. I think he's going to transfer the data off this one to this one and just use a 3TB maybe. And for a power supply, we did not skimp, because in our previous builds we've kind of, we didn't really know what the ratings meant, so we would go with like 80 plus bronze, but went with 80 plus gold this time. It's a Seasonic Focus GX650, very similar to the Seasonic 650 watt I got from my build. It's pretty awesome, it's fully modular, it's a very nice power supply. And just to top it all off, we've got some $20 RGB LED strip lights that I got from my rig. They're pretty cool. They've got their own controller. They look very nice. They're ARGB. And for the case, we have the Fractal Meshify C Micro-ATX case. Definitely more compact looking. I think it's going to be a pretty sweet build. So let's go ahead and set up those cameras and do the build time lapse. Okay, so we just plugged everything in. I flicked the power supply on. It looks like the RGB is passive, so it's on even when the machine isn't. I love the look of it. It looks nice and compact. You don't have tons of spare space in the front or around the bottom, like my PC kind of does a little bit. I like the way it looks. We don't really like the way this cable connector for the 2060 Super is all the way in here. Sorry about the low lighting. But hey, you know, it's going to be fine. Now's the moment of truth. We're about to try to power it on. We're not 100% certain if the motherboard actually supports Ryzen 3000. People have been saying in reviews that it does, but it's possible it's still running old firmware that doesn't support it. So, a little bit of a shot in the dark, but let's see if it works. Well, the CPU fan's not turning, so that's the first thing that is a little bit worrisome. But you got the screen right there. Yeah, we need... Oh, there we go. Well, we got something out of it, so...
Oh.
What are you doing?
Plug it in? Okay, it's plugged in.
Oh, no. The display was from the monitor. It wasn't from the computer whatsoever.
It's power cycling.
Yeah, it's cycling. I don't know if this is actually going to work. Oh. You're good. You're good, dude. Sweet. We're going to go ahead and tap around the UEFI and make sure the devices are being recognized. First order of business, go to Advanced. Go to Memory Configuration. Oh, it's not in here. It's going to be somewhere else.
8 gigs GDDR4. Oh, it's 2133.
That's because you haven't enabled XMP yet. OC tweaker. XMP profile, scroll down there. Load XMP setting. Hit enter. XMP profile 1. Bam, you're at 3200. Once you reboot. Cool. So there's that.
Sees everything else.
Yeah, let's go to storage configuration. Make sure it sees the SSD. You're in HCI mode. Excellent. You see the A data. You see both hard disks. Beautiful. I think we're pretty much good. How about you reboot and let's make sure that the RAM is running at 32. So as you can hear, that CPU fan gets really noisy when it kicks up to 100. Shouldn't have to do that most of the time. We'll put some fan profiles in on the OS to keep it nice and consistent. But it does power cycle quite a bit. Maybe because it's saving and updating the UEFI settings, but we'll see. Cable management's not finalized quite yet. We're still going to route things a little bit nicer. But for now, it does look fairly clean. I know you can't see the lighting too well. I'm sorry about that. We're limited on lamps here, but it looks pretty good so far. It's just a little bit slow to post for some reason.
So we had to pull one of the RAM sticks out because we having some boot issues. It kind of hangs up every once in a while and just goes at full speed. So we pulled one of the DIMMs out, and it seemed to fix the problem for now. So we might just reseat it when it's going again and see if it gets any better.
Also update the UEFI just in case it has some sort of fix built in there.
Yeah. So far, so good.
Okay, so it's a few hours later. We went ahead, got Windows installed the rest of the way, installed drivers and boring stuff like that, you know, web browsers, all that good stuff. You know, CPU-Z, kept an eye on the temperatures. It does what most Ryzens do, in that it likes to boost a lot when it's really got nothing going on. You know, temperatures generally stay below 75 degrees Celsius, though. Toss the RGB strips in, literally, like, toss, just to try to get a feel for, you know, where they ought to go. You know, do we want one up top, on the side, whatever, you get the idea. So kind of just experimenting there. I think it looks pretty good. And yeah, so I loaded the new Metro game, Metro Exodus. Plopped it on DirectX 12, put ray tracing on, and it honestly looked like crap. So something's just wrong with the game. It's not rendering properly or something. But we ran Shadow of the Tomb Raider benchmark, and it's 99% GPU bound, which is actually a good sign, in my opinion, because it means that, you know, well, typically given that you're going to upgrade your GPU at a later date versus your CPU, it's good to not have your CPU be the limiting factor right out of the gate. And so the game pretty much maxed out with ray tracing on. Got like, you know, probably good 60 FPS average, maybe 55 FPS, so that was pretty good. And he's just trying to load up Rust here just to see how that goes. But the PC is definitely super duper fast. It flies with the NVMe SSD in there. So we're pretty happy overall. We just got to get more awesome game titles to try out because your Steam library is a little slim there, bud. Alright, but that's actually pretty much it for this video. That's all I have to mention. You know, it's a PC. It's going pretty good. Definitely performs pretty well like you would expect a 2016 or 3600X to perform, and for a pretty awesome price. So, thank you all for watching.